Podcast City Network.
What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to episode 166 of the Nest Podcast. I'm the people's champ, Brandon Brewer. The Zach Bill is here with me tonight. And Zach, I've thought about this long and I've thought about this very hard. And I truly, truly believe that October may just be the best time of the entire year. Number one, we have playoff baseball. That's almost good enough in and of itself because playoff baseball is electric. But number two, the NFL season is getting going. It's going full swing. We've got upsets galore. We've got injuries to discuss. We've got kicker woes to discuss. A lot of other things going on in the NFL. Number three today was Marathon Monday in Boston, which is always a special day for anybody in the city. And that's just great. And number four, like we were talking about before we came on, the weather has been amazing. Even here in Florida, the weather's a little bit cooler. Fall is in the air. It's just like the story of the three bears. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. It's just right. How are things for you there, Zach?
Almost the same. I can't complain about the weather. It rained a little bit today, but I love the cooler weather. It's so nice to not just be sweating constantly and have your AC cranked all day. I couldn't agree more. This is the best time of the year, in my opinion. Like you said, we've got really great baseball to watch. We've got football to watch at the exact same time. So Sundays roll around, you got your football, and then whatever other day, you got your baseball. Weather's great. I'd say this is my favorite time of the year as well.
Yeah, it's truly phenomenal. I love the fact that all throughout the week, we get high intensity, high octane, packed stadiums for baseball. And then, like you said, on Sunday and Monday and Thursday and even Saturday, if you're a college football fan, you've got nothing but college or nothing but football on your TVs. It is a great time. It's a great time to be alive. It's the best time of the entire year.
Absolutely.
And like we said, it is playoff baseball time. And I want to go ahead and get this out of the way. Rally caps are cool. Whenever your team's down and you flip the hat around and you wear a funky looking hat, that's cool. Hats with logos that are made upside down, not cool. But rally cups are the best. And the Boston Red Sox are about to start playing in game 4 of the ALDS. So rally cups it is. Let's go, boys.
Hey, there we go. The Rally Cup. I like that one too. That one's pretty cool. It is October and Halloween is right around the corner. I'd have to say that the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup is my number one Halloween candy, followed up maybe by the Snickers bar, and then it kind of goes off from there. But I mean, I've always been a huge Reese's fan, and I think that's a pretty cool little thing to have for your team to kind of rally behind, and that's what everyone goes out and gets for the Red Sox. That's pretty cool. I dig that.
I'm a huge fan of it because it gives me an excuse to go out and get Reese's Cups all the time. I got to give credit where it's due. Steve Peralt of the Section 10 podcast, he's been pushing Reese's Peanut Butter Cups since late September. It's kind of what the fan base has rallied around to kind of, show our support, if you will, is by eating Reese's Cups at pivotal times during the games. And he's actually been at Fenway for all of these playoff games, dressed as a giant Reese cup, and it's been hilarious. It's made for some great content online. If you're out there in the Twitter land, give Steve Peralt a follow and watch some of his antics because he's a funny guy.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Just while we're on the subject a little bit, the Chris Sale game was real surprising to me because obviously if you watch that game, Chris Sale didn't have a great first inning there, and it was not looking great for the Red Sox, but then they came back in a huge way. That was a crazy game.
Yeah, so Chris Sale pitched game 2 of the ALDS there in Tampa. He only lasted, I think, 1+ innings. I think he got shelled in the second inning, and it was pretty much over. A dude, I don't even know if I'm saying his name right, Luplow or Ludlow, came out, hit a grand slam off of him, pretty much knocked him out of the game. But like you said, the Red Sox came back. They ended up hitting 5 home runs there in game 2. Scored 14 runs on 20 hits. They set all kinds of franchise records and all that stuff for offense. And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, this is going to be just like when the Cardinals erupted a couple years ago in the postseason and then had nothing for the remainder of the time. But they did come back in game 3, and they had their own marathon event for themselves in a 13-inning long game, one of the longest ALDS games of all time. And it was, from a Red Sox fan perspective, it was great. We loved it. But from the Tampa Bay Rays perspective, there may be a little bit of controversy on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. You want to set that up?
Yeah, I'm just reading the comments that the Reese's Cup holiday shapes are the best. You prefer them if they're shaped in a funny way? They taste the exact same though, right?
Well, there's differences in ratio of chocolate to peanut butter.
Okay.
And in my opinion, the Easter egg, the Reese's egg that comes out for Easter is the best. It's got an almost even ratio of chocolate to peanut butter all around. There's some other weird shapes, like there's a tree for Christmas. I think there's like a bat or something for Halloween, and they have just different ratios. It's kind of weird, but there's ones that are better than others.
I know they also now have, and I haven't tried it yet. I need to probably get that. That might be my ALCS move, is the big cup.
Oh yeah,
have
those
you
are
seen
great.
those?
Yeah, those are great. I love those.
I mean, I've been getting the king size, so it's the 4 peanut butter cups in the pack, and I've been eating them at certain intervals of the game as it's been going on. It's been pretty fun. But yeah, let's set this clip up. The controversy that came from the top of the 13th inning was the Rays had a runner on first baseman, Kevin Kiermaier, hit a ball that bounced off the wall in right center field, ended up ricocheting off of Hunter Renfroe, and the play was ruled a ground rule double.
Gotcha.
Zach, if you want to go ahead and remove that, I'll share my screen. And here we go.
You know he's going to score. The ball bounces and hits him and goes over the fence for what now?
So here it is again. It's going to bounce off the wall and then off Hunter Renfroe and then into the bullpen. If you look at the split, you can see right here, he wasn't quite at third just yet, and he started the play from first base.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another angle of it right here. So that was the view that we saw live.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what we all were looking at. And when it was live, I thought to myself, well, that was a ground rule double. It bounced off the warning track and went over the fence. No big deal. That the Red Sox caught a break. But then after seeing the review, saw that it bounced off of the Red Sox player, and I was like, what does this mean? And of course, the Rays Twitter erupted saying that they were, entitled to that run and it should be a runner on third. Red Sox Twitter was like, I don't know what's going on. And then they came out with the actual rule. And Zach, you've got the rule there, don't you?
I do. The wordage is a little strange, but we'll get the point here. So baseball rule 5.05A8 states any bounding fair ball that is deflected by the fielder into the stands, over or under a fence on fair or foul territory, in which case the batter and all runners shall be entitled to advance 2 bases. End quote.
Yeah. So what that's saying is if a ball is in the air but not in flight and it was deflected by a fielder and it goes out of play, then the base runners are awarded 2 base from when the play started.
Mm-hmm.
So in this particular play, the runner was on first base whenever the play started. He was moving on the pitch, but he started the play on first base. So that's why he only ended up getting to third, instead of a lot of people were saying, well, he was already at second by the time the ball hit the fence and went out of play, so he should have been awarded home. It's from when the play started, and that's why the Rays only got that. But if they would have gotten that run, it was still a 2-run home run that Christian Vasquez hit in the bottom half of the inning, so they would have still lost by a score of what, 6-5?
Right.
So either way, they lose the game. And it's worth mentioning, in my opinion, that Kevin Cash, the manager of the Tampa Bay Rays, he didn't go out and argue the call because he knew the rule. He knew that he would lose if he went out there and argued, because something like this has happened to them not too long ago. They had their own little issue where they had a play where a fielder knocked the ball out. And Zach, if you will, go ahead and remove that once again. And let me share this. Here's the play from 2019 when the Tampa Bay Rays were playing against the Toronto Blue Jays.
Hit into the outfield.
So
Down the left field line,
fair ball ricochets, and then whoops into the
to
fence.
third. He is getting the wave home. But wait a minute, Pham went over, and did a fan grab that baseball away from it, or did he knock it into the stands?
Pham went to catch that ball, and on the AstroTurf it bounced up, and now the umpires are going to have a talk
So
about it.
they had already experienced something, so they were actually familiar with this rule. So all the Rays Twitter that were so upset that Kevin Cash didn't do anything, that they got, quote, screwed out of that game, they were the benefactors of that same exact play just a few years ago. And I credit Twitter for being able to find that, specifically Red Sox Stats out on Twitter, because he had it posted within minutes of this whole debacle coming up, and let everybody know, like, hey, this kind of thing has happened before. It's not brand new. Yeah, it might be the first time that you've seen it, but it's not brand new. Anyway, here we are, game 4, with the Red Sox with a chance to close out the series. Eduardo Rodriguez is on the mound, which he got shelled in game 1. So that's not really great news if you're a Red Sox fan. But here we are. Let's hope that the Sox can pull it out and move on to the ALCS.
Yep, absolutely. It's been a pretty interesting ALDS. The Twitter world was kind of an interesting thing to watch, because obviously all the Yankees fans that watched their team lose in the wild card hoped that the Rays would sweep the Red Sox, and a lot of people didn't think that the Red Sox belonged there, and blah 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 blah. I think they've done extremely well. You know, they've come back from games. They've won walk-offs. I mean, they're playing at a pretty damn good level. It's been pretty exciting to watch for someone like me who doesn't really have any skin in the game. That they've been very exciting games. They've been super fun to watch. I do think that the Red Sox are going to move on and continue their playoff run. The Rays, I don't know what to say about them. I think they've kind of fallen apart here. I think they're really missing their key guys that they don't have this year. Tyler Glasnow has been injured for quite a while now. Blake Snell is no longer with the team. I think they're kind of feeling the effects of that. They're a team that severely relies on their pitching. And sure, they do have some pretty good bats. Rosarena is a good bat, and they added Nelson Cruz. But I just don't think they have enough firepower to keep up with teams that have a little bit more than they do, and that's why they rely on their pitching so much, and they just weren't able to do that this year. I still think they're a good team, but I think they need to make a few moves to stay competitive. Otherwise, they're just kind of going to do this whole get into the playoffs and then don't really make much of anything like they kind of did last year. I mean, yeah, they made it to the World Series last year, but then, you know, they just kind of played themselves and made some decisions that cost them the win of the World Series. And I think if they don't make some changes, then they could kind of lose out on what Chaim Bloom built for them.
To your point, Zach, about missing out on guys like Charlie Morton, Glasnow, Snell, guys that they got rid of in the offseason or got injured during this season, and they've had to utilize their bullpen a lot more. They showed a graphic the other night that their bullpen has thrown hundreds more pitches than the second place bullpen in the major leagues. the Rays team is a team that utilizes that bullpen. That they are all about the analytics. That's why they pulled Snell so early in that game, because the analytics were on their side for that. Ultimately, it blew up in their face, but that's the type of game that they play. They always tax their bullpen. That strategy may work in a 60-game season like what we saw last year. They were still fairly fresh when they made it to October. This year in 162, their bullpen looks depleted.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Astros, moving on, had a chance to finish off the White Sox last night, but the White Sox said, we're not going down without a fight. Trailing 0-2 in the series and down 5-1 in that specific game, the White Sox came roaring back to win 12-6, force a game 4. That game 4 was supposed to have been played today, but it got rained out. They'll play tomorrow. So that will give the Red Sox, if they happen to advance tonight, a little bit of an extra day to figure out who they're going to play in the ALCS.
Yeah, absolutely. I was definitely expecting a sweep there last night. Hats off to the White Sox, I guess, for at least not going down in 3 games. I still do give the nod to the Astros. They just seem like the much better team.
I agree.
I think pitching is probably the White Sox issue again. I haven't caught many of their games, but I think that's where the issues are for them for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. They do have a couple of pitchers that are good, but then after that, it's anybody's guess. I know Craig Kimbrell kind of he's been falling apart for a few years, and he's been getting booed at home in the White Sox uniform. So he's a guy that you don't want to be on the mound closing out these high leverage games, but it was big for them to win that game too. Hopefully this rain out doesn't kill their momentum and they can come back in game 4 and get another one and then go back to Houston. It's anybody's guess, anybody's ball game.
For sure.
The NLDS has been the complete opposite, where we've seen bad pitching and big offenses in the American League divisional series. The National League has seen a lot better pitching, but not very much offense. That's very true in the Braves and the Brewers series, which just wrapped up game 3 today. The series was tied 1-1 traveling back to Atlanta. The Braves actually won this game today, so they have taken a 2-1 series lead. How big was it for them to win that game 3, Zach?
Oh, I think it was huge. I think the momentum is kind of going back into their favor. They've faced the big arms that the Brewers have to offer, and they've done okay. And I think this is now the time to strike. And if you're going to eliminate the Brewers, this is the time to do it. Whether they do that or not, I don't really know. They've, like you said, they've kind of had low offensive games here for the NL teams, and we'll just have to see what happens. The last game that I caught for the the Braves and the Brewers, Max Fried was pitching for the Braves, and he did extremely well. I really don't know what else they can do other than just kind of pour it on whenever they can offensively. That's really what they're going to have to focus on here. And I think the guys that, have been there all year that have had to step up from Acuna and Ozuna's absence are going to have to just keep doing more of the same for sure.
Yeah, they definitely have had the guys stepping up all over the field. Jock Peterson was the hero today. They've recently acquired him in a trade. Well, not recent, but a trade deadline. Adam Duvall has had to step up, and a lot of these other guys that, like you said, were not expected to be the heroes of this team are out there performing, and they're stepping up to fill those shoes. And it's kind of fun to see. That's been a fun series. It's back and forth, if you don't like pitching and defense, this isn't your series for sure. But if you enjoy that style of baseball, that gamesmanship, that human game of chess that they're playing back and forth, then this is a good one to watch. And right after we go off the air tonight, we'll see game 3 between the Giants and the Dodgers, with the series knotted up at 1 game apiece. As the series shifts back down to LA, who do you think has the advantage, Zach?
I think the Dodgers have the advantage. I think
I do too, unfortunately.
They have the weapons all over the damn field. That entire lineup is dangerous, I think. And I do think that the Giants are a good team. Obviously, they won that division, which is an extremely hard thing to do. But I just don't give them the chance whenever it comes to a 5-game series against a juggernaut team like the Dodgers. The only thing that they could try to hope to do is to pour on runs early and to knock out a starter and to get to a bullpen, because I mean they do have arms all over the place. Joe Kelly has been very good for them out of the bullpen, and even Kenley Jansen has kind of shown glimpses of what he used to be able to do. He closed out a game for them, and it's all things going right for the Dodgers at this moment, and I see them going on to the NLCS.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do too. Even though the Giants came in with the best record in baseball, that in this series, it just seems like the Dodgers have way too many answers to the questions that the Giants may have, and they're out there and they're going to be able to slug. They're at home. I've got the Dodgers taking the next two and winning it in Game 4, which is unfortunate because the Giants played so well all season long to get to this point.
Yeah, it's rough.
If you remember back in my open, I said that the second thing that's so great about this time of year is the NFL season is getting into full swing. Fan bases really are starting to know what it is they've got. And in week 5, we've seen a notable string of injuries that could possibly alter the whole course of the rest of the season. The Chiefs are pretty banged up at the moment. They're also last place in their AFC West division. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was carted off of the field with a knee injury. Tyreek Hill had to leave the game with a knee injury. Travis Kelce left the game late with a stinger. If those 3 guys miss any amount of time, then that puts a huge wrench in the Chiefs' offense. Patrick Mahomes is great, but he can't win it on his own.
100% agree. I think Helaire is out for a significant amount of time. I saw that Adam Schefter tweeted that Tyreek Hill is supposed to be back next week. They don't expect him to miss any time. We'll see what he can even do, because I mean, if he's nursing anything with that knee, I'm assuming it's going to affect his ability to play. You hit the nail on the head there. Patrick Mahomes is a good quarterback, great quarterback, but he's great because he has such a great offense.
Yeah, absolutely. Other teams around the league that have suffered some major setbacks this week, the Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow was rushed to the hospital after their game against the Green Bay Packers with a possible throat contusion. Now, I'm no doctor. I don't know what that means, but if you have anything wrong or damaged in your throat area, that does not sound good. Hopefully he is able to recover from that and be able to play and not be impacted in any way, because with Joe Burrow, the Bengals are good. Without Joe Burrow, I'm not so sure.
Yep, I completely agree. We saw what they were last year with him and without him, and if he has to go down for a significant amount of time, I expect more of the same from last year.
I agree. The Giants running back Saquon Barkley once again suffered an injury. This time it was his ankle in the first half against the Cowboys. And also quarterback Daniel Jones was carted off the field after a helmet-to-helmet hit in the second quarter. If those 2 guys go out, that's pretty much curtains on the Giants season. That's a huge loss for them and a huge loss for fantasy owners as well.
Yeah. Did you happen to catch the clip of Daniel Jones stumbling after that?
Yeah, he was punch drunk for sure.
That was scary, man. That's definitely some damage right there done to his brain. And yeah, I mean their star running back, cornerstone of the offense is yet again hurt. Not good.
Yeah, no, not good at all. And then finally, one of the last significant injuries of the week was Steelers wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster suffered a season-ending shoulder injury and will be having surgery to repair some damages in that shoulder. Not good for an offense that's struggled anyway, but it's especially not good for Juju in what is his 1-year contract year there with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll see where he lands next year. He may have to take a backseat role and be more of a wide receiver 2 type position. on some other team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is a big blow for them because, like you alluded to, Big Ben has been struggling. They did win this week, which was honestly surprising to me, but I think it's going to be a lot harder for them now that they don't have Juju.
Yeah.
Chase Claypool is going to have to be, their number one wide receiver now, and I guess we'll see how they do with that kind of setup.
Yeah, and I don't think Claypool is cut out for that. I think he's built more to be a slot guy. He's not built to be a wide receiver one.
Yeah.
And there were several more notable injuries of people that had to leave the game on Sunday. We'll keep an eye on a lot of those throughout the week, and we'll update you on Champ to Champ this week and this Saturday night. We'll let you know who you should play and who you shouldn't play, who's going to be limited in practice all week. We're going to do our homework and make sure that we give you guys the best information come Saturday so that you can set your fantasy lineups. But as guaranteed by me on this past episode of Champ to Champ, the New England Patriots defeated the Houston Texans, although it wasn't the cakewalk that I had thought that it would be. But Mac Jones showed poise of a veteran, and he led the New England Patriots on a fourth quarter tying touchdown drive, and then a fourth quarter game-winning drive that resulted in a Nick Folk field goal to give the Pats the win 25-22. Zach, what a game.
Man, I mean, every time that they do something like this, I think about what this team would be like without Mac Jones. I think it'd be scary. I don't think it would be very good. I think he's been very successful. I mean, he's not lighting the world on fire, obviously, but I think with what he's been given and the amount of time that it has taken him, which is no time at all, he was a starter right off the bat. It's been electric. And I mean, he's been insane to watch, and he's been able to do things with such little weapons that it's almost unbelievable. Yeah, sure. This is a Texans team and they're not great at all. But I think regardless of that, a rookie quarterback with a lackluster, let's just be honest, offense has been doing as good as you could ask the guy to do. And I mean, if this were Cam Newton's team, I really don't know what would be happening right at the moment. If this were any other quarterback's team other than Mac Jones, we have no idea what would be happening right now, but I don't think it would be this. I don't think they'd be doing this well. Not
I agree.
They're not winning the division or anything right at the moment, but I think it could be a lot worse had Mac Jones not been ready to step up.
I agree. I think Mac is doing phenomenal. Maybe he's not throwing for 400 plus yards. He's not, scoring 6 touchdowns a game and rushing, 100 yards on his feet and all that stuff. That's not his style of play. He's a game manager, and then he's going to get behind the solid Patriots defense and score just enough to keep them in the game and then to ultimately win it. It also appears that Mac Jones has found his new favorite target in Hunter Henry. In the past 2 games, Henry has had 13 targets, 10 receptions of those 13, 2 touchdowns, and 107 yards receiving. It seems like he's found his guy. The tight end battle between Henry and Jonnu Smith, it seems like Hunter Henry has won out as far as who's going to be the favorite target. And, the Patriots, when they have this dual threat tight end lineup, they are dangerous because you never know which one's going to go out into pass coverage. And I love the way that it's starting to shape up. Week 5, we're really seeing the chemistry start to come together on the offensive side of the ball. We saw it in week 4 against the Bucs whenever they actually let Mac Jones drop back and pass. Wow, this kid can play some football.
Right.
Going forward, I think we're going to see a lot more of it, and I think we're going to see a lot more wins in the Patriots' future.
Yeah, I think so too. I hope that the play calling kind of is in Mac Jones's favor, because I think, like you said, he's not going out there and throwing 400 yards and doing all this stuff. And I think if you can work the playbook and the play calling to his benefit, it'll make him shine that much more. I kind of wish that they had a solid running back that they could rely on that would take a little bit of pressure off of him, but it is what it is. You can't have everything. But hopefully that's something that they can address in the future. Maybe pick up somebody that's serviceable. But I think you're right. I think if this defense can stay healthy and stay solid, then that'll be something that they can rely on. And if Mac Jones can just keep chugging, it seems to be enough to be winning the games that they should be winning.
Damian Harris was supposed to be that guy that was going to fill in that running back role for this team, but he's had an issue with fumbles. And then he was also one of those guys that got injured a little bit on Sunday. He left the game for a while. He did come back, but they still have him as questionable with a chest injury right now. So we'll see what happens with him. Yeah, but you're right. Maybe that is something that they need to really address. They need to look for that next stud running back in the draft or in free agency or a trade or something. But who knows? We'll see what happens going forward. But that does seem like it's the missing link for this offense right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And it seems like the running backs that are thriving in the NFL are these dual threat running backs, the guys that can catch the ball out of the backfield, but then they can also run, a true 3-down backs. Your guys like Kamara, Austin Eckler, people like that, Christian McCaffrey, that are workhorses, you know?
Yep, absolutely.
Let's talk about the Bills and Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. Of course, we talked about how the Bills defense was looking like one of the top defenses, world beaters out there. The Bills took down the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football by a score of 38-20. I saw a post that said we should give all of our appreciation to the Bucs for showing the blueprint on how to beat the Chiefs. We've been saying on our show for the past 2 years how to beat the Chiefs is to slow down and stop Patrick Mahomes, get pressure on him, make him run for his life. And that's all that these defenses are doing now. They're putting pressure on him, making him make quick decisions. Unlike Mac Jones, who is good at making that quick decision, that quick read, Mahomes likes to take his time and let a play develop downfield, and then he likes to throw it 50 yards in the air. He's not that guy who can make those quick check downs and quick dumps. He wants to get it all in one big play, and I think that's to his detriment. Now they're sitting at 2-3, currently last place in the AFC West. They've scored 154 points on offense, but their defense has allowed 163 points. So that defense, something's got to give there.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's a huge issue for them. I think defenses have figured out their offense. And like you said, Mahomes has his tendencies, and they've picked up on that. A lot of teams are also starting to either double team Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce, taking away one of his weapons. That's a big plus for defenses. And if you can slow down that defense, and if they don't score every single drive, then you know that their defense isn't going to be able to do anything. So if you've got a team like the Bills who have a good offense and a good defense, that's the Chiefs' worst nightmare right now. A lot of teams out there that have good offenses can keep up with, if not overpass, the Chiefs' offense, and that's all it really takes, because there's no chance that defense is going to be able to stop a good offense. And at this point, I don't think that Patrick Mahomes can keep up with another big offense. He's going to have to change something in his game, or that offense is going to have to change somehow, because there's no way you can rely on their defense. And it's getting difficult for him to kind of do those big plays like he likes to do and throw those crazy plays, throw those crazy passes and stuff like that. People are starting to figure out their tendencies. It's looking rough for them right now. They could always bounce back, obviously, but these teams that are good, Chargers, Bills, they're beating the Chiefs pretty decisively, and I think that's pretty telling.
Yeah, to your point, the 3 losses that they have are against the Ravens, the Chargers, and the Bills. In those 3 games alone, they're being outscored by a score of 104-79. So they're not able to score on these good defenses that are out there.
Yep. Yeah, it's a big problem. I wouldn't be shocked if they don't win their division this year, simply because the Chargers look so damn good. Like I said, anything can happen. I think they could definitely come back if something starts clicking and they make a change. But for right now, they have some issues for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, while we're talking about the Chargers, let's talk about that Chargers and Browns game for a minute. This was a high-scoring affair that the Chargers won 47-42. They set all kind of NFL records and made a lot of fantasy owners very happy in the process. What was that crazy stat that you found for that game? You sent it in a text message to us.
Yeah. Let me pull that up real quick. It was something that only the Browns could have done to themselves, and it was just so terrible to have happen to them. All right, so the Browns scored 42 points, had 532 yards with 0 turnovers.
Fantastic game. They won, right?
They are the first team in NFL history, including the playoffs, to lose when having either 40 points and 0 turnovers or 40 points, 500 yards and 0 turnovers.
Wow.
Man.
You're right. That's something that only the Browns could pull off. But, to their credit, that offense was looking good. The Chargers defense, which is normally nails, was not that great. The Browns found a way to exploit that defense, to move the ball. That dual threat running back situation that they have with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, they were able to run the ball. They were able to pass the ball around. Baker Mayfield looked pretty good in that game. The first game that he's actually looked halfway decent all season. It's been crazy. But the Chargers went on to win. What a game that was, though.
Yeah, crazy. I think that had to be a huge morale killer for the Browns, because that's one where you did enough to win, but yet you still come up short and you don't get the W. That's really tough to swallow. Like you said, I mean, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb both got it going. And for fantasy owners, they both put up 20 plus points. And I think for a split back situation like that, that's pretty successful for them. Really don't know what to say, because like you said, they capitalized on the Chargers not having their defense clicking. Man, it's a crappy loss for them. But I mean, hats off to the Chargers. They were able to pull it out.
Yeah, hats off to them. And like you said, that puts them in the driver's seat of the AFC West. The Raiders appear to have fallen back to earth, and I'm looking it up right now. I'm pretty sure that means that the Chargers at 4-1 are at the top. Yep. The Broncos at 3-2. I don't think that's really going to be sustainable for them long term. They've lost 2 in a row after starting 3-0. So they're falling back to earth as well. So the Chiefs could possibly jump back up, but the Chargers are hot. They're going to keep rolling. So maybe we see the Chargers win the division and the Chiefs climb up to be a wild card team. But a lot of football left to play, partner.
Yep, absolutely.
And let's not take away, going back to that Sunday night football game, let's not take away from the Bills' Josh Allen. That dude went out there and balled. He went out there and played a great game. He had 315 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. He also added another touchdown on the ground rushing. The Bills are one legit running back away from being a juggernaut. We talked about the Patriots needing a running back. So do the Bills. Zach Moss and Devin Singletary combined for 17 rushes for 62 yards. Moss, however, did add 55 yards receiving as well, to his credit. If they had that guy rolled up into one package, they would be unstoppable.
Yep, I completely agree. If they had a good running back, this team would be super scary. And I think a lot of teams are happy that they don't, because they already have so much to contend with that team. Josh Allen is the real deal. He really puts it all out there. It's crazy to watch him work. Scary team, scary good team. Imagine if it's them and the Chiefs in the AFC, or them and the Chargers rather, in the AFC Championship this year instead of them and the Chiefs.
That would be a wild matchup. Something that a lot of people out in Vegas probably didn't think of whenever they were putting their bets down at the beginning of the season. Let's move on to our fantasy booms and busts, Zach. We talked about it a little bit pre-show, and every week it seems like we play fantasy football and somebody surprises us. Who is your fantasy boom quarterback of the week?
I've got Justin Herbert this week. He has been obviously a very good quarterback for not only this year, but last year as well. But I think this week in particular, he really just completely went off. He had 42 points, 398 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He just lit up that Cleveland defense. It was an amazing game for him. His whole offense was basically involved in that. Austin Eckler, obviously. And it was a crazy good game for him. This is a guy who, 25 points is a great day for him or whatever, but he completely blew it out of the water this year or this week. And yeah, he did great.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. He was lights out. My boom quarterback of the week is Tom Brady. Tom Brady had 37.74 points in fantasy. He threw for 411 yards and also had 5 touchdowns. And now Justin Herbert is a young guy. This is his second year in the league. He's out there balling. Tom Brady is 44 years old, and he's still out there putting up these kind of stats, putting up these kind of numbers. When will it stop with this guy?
I couldn't say. I think it'll stop once Tom finally decides, yeah, I'm done. Because like you said, he's doing things that a guy, half his age are doing. It's insane.
What about your bust? Who was your quarterback bust for the week, Zach?
Sadly, my bust is going to be Sam Darnold,
Wow.
a guy who did great for me last week, could not do the same against the Philadelphia defense for whatever reason. He had a abysmal game of 6 points, 177 yards, 1 touchdown, and the big killer was 3 interceptions. I really couldn't say what the issue was there. That game was not on for me, but I expected him to do extremely well against a lackluster Philadelphia defense, and he wasn't able to capitalize. So anybody who picked him up after that 30-game week is definitely regretting that decision.
Yeah, do you think we'll see him back on the waiver wires again this week?
Possibly, yeah, depending on who's your backup. I think people might just go ahead and ditch him.
People making the knee-jerk reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, possibly. I'm just looking real quick to see what the change was, because I remember last week he wasn't in too many leagues. Actually, he's still rostered in only 46.8% of leagues. So he didn't really have the waiver wire boom that we thought that he might.
Gotcha.
For me, my bust quarterback of the week is Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray had 13.66 points, which isn't terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but he's a guy that averages 24.3. He only had 239 yards passing, 7 rushing yards, and 1 lone touchdown to D-Hop. So not the best day for Mr. Murray out there in Arizona. Again, this is a guy that averages nearly 25 points a game. So a lot of fantasy owners probably have grown accustomed to those big games from him, and to only get 13.6 is kind of a shock.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting to see him only throw 1 touchdown. I would definitely expect him to get a little bit more than that, but it is what it is. People are going to have down weeks for sure.
Yep, for sure. One guy that did have a very positive week, at least he had a very positive fourth quarter, is my running back boom. And you alluded to him with your quarterback, and that's Austin Eckler. Eckler had 32.9 points, 66 yards rushing, 53 yards receiving, and 3 huge fourth quarter touchdowns. I was sitting there watching my fantasy points, and I was looking down, and I was like, man, this is a close matchup. It's a nail biter between me and my opponent, John. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Austin Eckler had a 30 burger. And I was like, whoa, what happened? I looked it up, 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Dude lit it up. Props to you, Mr. Eckler, for winning my week this week.
Man, you got to love that. 3 touchdowns is superb for a running back. For my running back boom, I've got Kareem Hunt. For a guy who usually plays second fiddle to Nick Chubb, he did great this week. 61 yards and 2 touchdowns for 25.9 points. That's awesome for a basically an RB2 who has to share time. Those 2 touchdowns were perfect for him. Anybody who threw him in as maybe an RB2 or a flex or whatever was super happy, I'm sure. That's a scenario that doesn't happen all the time. Like I said, Chubb usually has the bulk of carries, but I think when Kareem Hunt does get in there, he still has some pretty damn good talent, and he can do it.
And the fact that the Browns got him for next to nothing because of that whole scandal that involved with him getting cut from the Chiefs and all that stuff, they got him for next to nothing, for practically free.
Yep.
What about your running back bust?
Running back bust, I've got Saquon Barkley. And you might say, well, he got hurt. That's not really his fault, which I will give him a pass. He did get hurt, but I think this is a bigger issue than just this week. For whatever reason, they haven't been able to get him going. It took him 3 or 4 weeks to even start getting, significant carries. And then once they gave him the green light and once they started utilizing him like they should, he gets hurt. And I get it. He can't really do anything about that. It's a tough position, but is this a sign of the future? Is his career kind of going that way? You see that with guys like Todd Gurley and Leonard Fournette. They get injured once, they're out for a significant amount of time, they come back, and then it's just kind of a downhill slide after that. Yeah. I think this guy has all the talent in the world, but his position is just so tough on the body that I don't know if he can stay healthy, even if it is not his fault. I don't know if he can stay healthy enough to be, an RB1 and to be selected in the first round.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, we certainly hope that this isn't a trend for his career and that he ends up being relegated to being that, oh, well, he was good, but he just couldn't stay healthy type of guy.
Yep.
Somebody like a Todd Gurley, who I don't think is even on a roster right now.
I don't believe so.
So it does suck for him, and it sucks for the Giants that they've had so much bad news come with Saquon Barkley, a guy that had so much promise and potential. My running back bust of the week is Melvin Gordon. He had 6.3 points. He averages 12. He had 34 yards rushing, 2 catches for 9 yards, 0 touchdowns, and he's splitting time with rookie Javonte Williams. This was one of the guys that I told you about on Champ to Champ last Saturday night that I would not start him this week. And lo and behold, he lived up to what I expected and dropped 6.3 points. Not a very good outing for Melvin Gordon. Not very good if he's hoping to win back that RB1 position in Denver.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head on that one. We can move into wide receivers if you want to.
Okay. My wide receiver boom is Devonte Adams. Adams' first game this season that he's really been Devonte Adams that we saw all last year. 37.6 fantasy points. He had 11 receptions for 206 yards and 1 touchdown. Finally, Aaron Rodgers' favorite target made himself known.
Yep, that's perfect. My boom at wide receiver is going to be Jamar Chase. This is a guy who, we've kind of been talking about as Joe Burrow's favorite target. He had a great week this week for 27 points, 6 receptions, 159 yards, and a touchdown. He's finally kind of emerging as that number 1 target for Joe Burrow. It was kind of, a bit of a sharing of the love there for a little bit. Tyler Boyd had a bit of the carries for a little bit, and I think now finally Jamar Chase has solidified himself as the RB1 there, or as the WR1. So yeah, perfect game for him, and hopefully that can continue.
Yeah, Jamar Chase, he's that guy. I think a lot of fantasy owners out there slept on him in week 1 because we had all the reports and all the word coming out that he was dropping a lot of passes and he wasn't up to the NFL level and all that stuff. But he exploded in week 1 and he hasn't slowed down since. I'm not sure, but I think he's having the type of season that Justin Jefferson had last year. I know he had his eyes set on trying to set all of those records and take all of those from Justin Jefferson. They, of course, all went to LSU, so they have that friendly rivalry between one another. So
sure,
we'll see what happens.
Yep.
My bust wide receiver of the week is Stefan Diggs. Even though the Bills went out there and handled the Chiefs, he only posted 8.9 points. He's averaging 14.3 this season. He only had 2 receptions out of 5 targets for 69 yards. Wasn't very involved in the offense, wasn't very present on the field.
Yeah, that's rough. And that's a guy that you think, would be Josh Allen's favorite target, or at least one of them, and it just didn't happen. Another guy that I think would be a favorite target of his quarterback that is a bust this week is Adam Thielen. Vikings played the Lions. That's a pretty easy team to beat up on. Thielen only got 2 receptions for 40 yards, and he had a big goose egg for about 2 or 3 quarters, and I was just staring at my fantasy app like, what the hell is happening? You're playing the Lions. How are you not getting 3 touchdowns by now? But nonetheless, for whatever reason, he was just not utilized. Got 6 points in fantasy. That's just not happening. Can't really say why. And the Vikings almost kind of barely won that game. They won 19-17. Crazy game for the Vikings, who should be doing a lot better than that, but it is what it is.
Well, and they won that game on a last-second field goal.
Right.
That, for all intents and purposes, the Lions looked like they were set to win their first game of the season, and that's happened to them now 2 weeks in a row. So Heartbreak City in Detroit.
Yep.
Also want to give a special fantasy boom to tight end Kyle Pitts, who had 26.9 points. He caught 9 of his 10 targets over there in London for 119 yards and 1 touchdown. Kyle Pitts is a tight end that lines up like a wide receiver, and he goes out there and he can catch the ball. And he's a great tool to have, a great weapon to have. So hats off to him, and hats off to fantasy owners that plugged him in this week.
Yep, definitely. How about that London game, though? I love whenever you wake up on Sunday and 9 a.m. there's football on.
That's one of the things that I truly miss about living in California is, they're 3 hours behind. So whenever you would wake up at 10 a.m., you would have the 1 o'clock games starting. And it's like, all right, I get to go have breakfast or brunch or whatever it is. And then boom, NFL. And then come Sunday night football, it starts at like 5:30 in the evening. So you can watch the entire game, drink a few brewskis with it, and still go to bed at a decent hour and not be so groggy the next morning.
Yep, for sure.
Some of the things about living in California were pretty good, and watching your sports was definitely one of them.
Yep, definitely.
Tonight on Monday Night Football, we have the Colts at the Ravens. But Zach, my TV will be locked on the Rays at Red Sox Game 4. I've already won my fantasy matchup. I don't have a dog in that fight, so let's go Red Sox. I'm
going to be watching the Red Sox as well. I really don't really care about watching the Ravens play the Colts. I think the Ravens are going to win that game. I would assume that Lamar Jackson will be doing his thing out there. Colts don't really seem like they have a great team. So I fully expect that the Ravens are going to win that one. And I think the Red Sox game is going to be a lot more fun and interesting to watch.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it's a lot more fun. As of this time, it's knotted up at 0-0 right now in the third. And for those that saw my Facebook Live video the other day when I was testing out a video game, running around playing on there, I'm going to start streaming pretty soon. I'm going to start streaming my video game play, and I've ordered a controller that's compatible with my computer. If you watched it, you heard me talking about, man, I can't really use the keyboard and mouse. I'm not that type of gamer. So I ordered a controller. I hope to interact with all the gamers out there. If you like video games, like watching people play video games, please come and chat with me. It'll be broadcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can find me out there playing Destiny. That's the only game I'm going to be playing for a while because that's what game I like. And I'm just going to be out there just talking and hanging out. It'll be exclusive streams. I'm not going to post it up on the podcast feed or anything like that, but it should be a lot of fun. Hopefully I can play with some of you guys and we can go and raid and do all kinds of fun stuff together.
Yeah, there you go. That'll be fun.
Yeah. When are you going to start firing up your new Xbox?
I think when Battlefield 2042 comes out, I can do some stuff on that. Obviously, we've got Halo coming out at the end of the year. That'll be a good one to stream with. So, yeah, I think once some AAA titles start kind of rolling out, we'll definitely be getting out some content for that.
Nice. Yeah, you got that brand new Xbox and you have barely even used it. So
well, it's funny because it came out, but all of the games out currently, you can just get on your old Xbox and it's hardly any different. So it's kind of like, yeah, I have it, but it does the exact same stuff as the Xbox One does. So it's kind of waiting for the next gen games to finally come out.
The guys that I play with on Destiny that have the next gen Xbox, they say the only real difference is that the load times are a little faster.
Yeah,
because
I've seen too.
while I'm loading in, they'll already be taken off doing their own thing. And it's like, wait up, wait for me.
Yep. Yeah. That's all I've really been able to see as well is the load times are pretty fast. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited to play some new games and to see what the new gen has to offer.
Yeah. I'm actually using my computer and playing on Stadia.
Oh, nice.
On there. Yeah, that's how I'm doing it on my computer, and it works pretty fine. Every now and then there's like a little bit of a glitch or a lag or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not using an Xbox console. I'm not using any of that, but I'm playing from my Xbox account. It's
Yeah.
all linked up through my Microsoft account and all that stuff. It's pretty cool how it all works. You can even use your phone to play those games.
Yeah.
You can get something called a backbone where it makes your phone a controller.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool, pretty crazy stuff that they're coming out with these days.
Yeah, absolutely. The Stadia is actually super interesting because for those that don't really know, it's a console sort of, but it's all the games are 100% streamed. So that means you don't really have to download a game. You don't have to wait for 20 gigabyte updates and stuff like that. It's just all streamed directly to it. And I think that's probably the way of the future of games. I think the success of Xbox's Game Pass has kind of shown people that, hey, discs are almost irrelevant. And now if they can perfect this streaming games instead of having to download stuff, I think that's going to be the way to go. And you just have a device that basically allows you to stream the game, and you don't really necessarily need a big old hard drive to store everything and stuff like that. So it's very interesting stuff.
And with Stadia, like you said, it's streaming. So on your computer, on your PC, you can just go to their website and stream straight from there. You don't have to have a console or anything like that. You don't have to purchase anything. You create an account and you start playing.
Yeah. And if you don't have an Xbox or PlayStation or whatever, and you're not really interested in one, they do sell like I said, it's kind of a console, but not really. It's just something that allows you to plug it into your TV and go from there or whatever. But yeah, it's crazy stuff.
It's cool. Yeah, I enjoy it. You don't even have to pay for anything. You can sign up for the membership. I think you actually have to sign up for the membership, but you can cancel it right immediately. It's like a trial that you cancel.
Yeah.
And then after that, it unlocks all of the free games that are out there and all that stuff. So you can play a lot of stuff. You can download the entire titles and play them right there on your machine or on your PC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's pretty
cool.
sweet. Yeah. I like it. That's what I'm using to do my stream. So it'll be a lot of fun.
For sure.
Do you have anything else you want to add tonight, Zach?
No, I think we're good. We didn't really touch on the Wilder and Fury fight, but I think that one wasn't necessarily too exciting. I mean, Fury just handled Wilder, and I think he's just the better boxer.
Well, Fury did get knocked down twice in the same round. Yeah. So from what I've been hearing, a lot of people are saying that this is the heavyweight classic of our generation.
Yeah.
Was this particular fight. And I heard people referencing that it was the Ward Gotti trilogy of the heavyweights, where Fury lost the first fight and then came back and won the second two, kind of like back in the day when Irish Mickey Ward beat Gotti in the first fight and then Gotti beat him the last two. So it is something, but I'm glad that it's over. I'm glad they finally got that fight out of the way, and now they can both move on with their careers. Where does Anthony Joshua fit in with all this?
Great question.
We don't know. So
I hope that Tyson Fury can kind of capitalize on this, success. And I think there's some eyes on boxing that haven't really paid attention in a while. And I hope they can kind of get something going. I don't know if a fight with Joshua is in the cards or whatever, but Tyson Fury is obviously the champion right now. And I think it'd be good for the sport and for combat sports in general if boxing had some notoriety behind it and some fanfare behind it, and they can kind of capitalize on this success and this attention that they've been getting. So hopefully they can kind of keep it going and get some big fights going.
Yeah, maybe they'll fight the Paul brothers or something.
Right.
We'll see. Anyway, thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. Thanks for all of your comments. We appreciate it as always. And we will be seeing you this coming Saturday on Champ to Champ when we update you on all the injuries and all the things that you need to know to set your fantasy football roster. We'll see you guys then. We out.